All right, it's Saturday morning, so that means it's time for Mike Onesko's Renegade Rock here on the Rogue Radio Podcast Network, bringing all the great music to you every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now we have interviews, and today we have a very special guest, rock legend, great drummer of all time, Aynsley Dunbar. Welcome to Renegade Rock, Aynsley.
Hi there, Mike.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
And
thank you.
We just heard Kahootek. We opened up the show with Kahootek, and I have to tell you, when I first heard that song, a drummer in my band at the time comes up and goes, Mike, you got to listen to this. And we went in and heard it, and I'm just like, whoa. Tell us about that. Kahootek. I mean, it's legendary. You're drumming on there.
Well, the drumming's legendary, but the rest of it is pretty good, too. I mean, I taught them everything they needed to know, but just joking. Anyway, Kahootek was just one of those things that just came to us.
Did you guys write that all together at a practice or something?
Well, it was actually George Tickner who used to write more of those those type of songs. Yeah.
Nobody knows about George Tickner in the history of Journey, so we have to let people know who George Tickner is.
Well, George Tickner was a rhythm guitarist in the band at the very beginning, and he wrote more of these outward-aimed songs, which was sort of a little bit way different from what was being played at the time.
So different, way different.
He was a guy that had the big enough hands to be able to bridge the whole top, and I forget what guitarists call that when they...
Oh, the capo?
Yeah, so you could lock it into a different
key, right?
Key, yeah. So he could do that with his thumb over the top.
Wow!
And then he would play the other notes that went with it, and so he could do that automatically. That way, he came up with these off-the-wall songs.
Well, those are great tunes, man.
And of course, I believe that we have to also say Greg Rowley wrote some of that because of the keyboard intros.
Right. Yeah, that intro to Kahootek is just great.
And we just went to town. It was one of those things which was really different to start with.
How did you hook up with Journey? Your career spanned so many decades, and you were part of the original British blues boom. But how did you hook up with Journey?
Well, I was actually in England with David Bowie, and I would come back to America.
Was that when you did Rebel Rebel and those tunes?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Then I came back to America, and every so often I'd get these phone calls from Walter Herbert and
Herbie.
Yeah, and I didn't know who the heck they were, so didn't really bother replying. And then when my stint finished with David, due to his manager giving me a piece of legal scrap with 6 clauses on it, they all made the money, I said, no, sorry, I'm not signing that. Right. And came back to America, and there was this another little phone call message
from Herbie.
From Herbie, and I replied. Then they came down and brought songs, and I loved what I was listening to because it was right up my alley. They said, come up to San Francisco and see how you fit in with the band. So I went up there and did that. Next minute, I moved up to San Francisco and joined Journey.
Man, great stuff.
1974, yeah.
I remember you guys, when I first met you, you were rehearsing at SIR Studios on Folsom Street, and you guys I think you were auditioning singers at the time. It was right before you had Steve Perry in the band.
Yeah, well, we were continually auditioning singers.
Quite a few guys. But Greg Rowley had the voice, I mean.
Yeah, but he didn't have the top 10 voice.
Right, the top 10, right. That's what the management, the label wanted, right?
Yeah, that was what the deal they came. Either find somebody to sing or, you're out of CBS is no longer backing you.
Yeah, well, the first Journey is the only Journey in my opinion. There's no other Journey. I can't listen to any of that other stuff.
Well, but it's okay. But the first 4 albums, plus we did times 3,
right?
Where they put a couple of other little songs in there too, which went on the other albums.
So what was it like working with Roy Thomas Baker when you did the first record with Steve Perry?
Roy was a little antsy and a little bit too. It was he did a good job. Yeah. I got to say he was different. I've saved him a couple of times from getting beaten up and stuff, but that was okay.
So, Aynsley, how did you get your start in the business, and who influenced you? Who was the drummer that you saw and you said, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be? Well,
that's really difficult to say because I was a Downbeat fan, if anybody ever remembers Downbeat.
I know Downbeat, yes.
So in England, I used to have that as one of my publications that arrived at my house, and I used to watch all the jazz that was happening in America and get all all the upcoming. So I would go out and try and buy these albums. And of course, in those days, they weren't available. You couldn't find an album that you saw advertised in Downbeat for like 4 years later.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And also, you didn't want to have them shipped over because you never know who you were buying them from and if you'd ever see them. That was the case. And I used to go down to the record store and hunt out all different albums. But mainly, it was all those bebop drummers, Dave Brubeck's drummer, Joe Morello. I saw that guy play when I was like
Crazy.
17, I think, in Liverpool.
Playing with his hands, it was like, whoa.
Oh, yeah, but one of the things he did, which was phenomenal,
Odd meter.
was he just, I don't know how long he practiced all these stuff, but he was playing with brushes at the beginning of the song.
Right.
Then he flipped one brush up in the air, put the other brush down, and picked two sticks up. And when it came to the downbeat, that brush landed right on top of the kick drum.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. I mean,
I know, he was pretty ahead of his time. He really was.
yeah, then he did Take Five.
Take Five,
and I was the only guy backstage that stayed to say hi and ask him a few questions.
Wow, you got to meet him?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
that's cool. How old were you when that happened?
17.
Wow, what an impression, huh?
Yeah, he told me he had to practice every day once he reached 35.
Wow.
And that really bothered me. But I didn't have the same problems. I still had enough energy and all the rest of it. He had energy up the whatever.
Up the yin, yeah.
But he really played himself all the way to the end.
Are you from London? Where were you born in England?
I was up in Liverpool.
Liverpool, Beatles country there.
Yes, well, that's what changed everything when the Beatles came over to America. So records became available.
Right.
Because they had to sell their records to America. So all of a sudden, distribution from America became the same time, released same time as in America.
Well, that was
in
great
England.
for you guys.
So that really helped everything out because there was such a delay on everything.
What was your first big band that you were in? Big English band?
It was called the Mojos.
The Mojos?
Yep.
Was that like a Beatles type band?
It was a pop band.
A pop band. Were you playing loud drums, or were you still into your jazz then?
I was still into jazz, and a lot of the times it took me quite a while to realize how to use a kick drum. Because with playing jazz, you don't play the kick drum all the time. You just use it as accents. So I had to redesign my mind to play kick drum beats. But I want to tell you, I played jazz all the way through Liverpool, all my younger days in Liverpool.
Oh, cool.
And then when the Beatles hit, all the jazz clubs closed.
Right.
So I'm trying to find a jazz gig. Out of the blue, I get this call to play a gig with what the heck was the band? Derry Wilkie and the Freshmen, I think it was. Except it was without Derry Wilkie, and it was behind Cheryl Marsden, I think her name was.
Wow.
And it was in northern Wales. So I went over there, and my first gig playing rock and roll, which I hated because everybody said they don't pay anything. You're better off playing jazz. So I went there and I played my first gig, played with my peers, and it was just like, holy shit, people love this music and they're getting off on what I'm doing. So I suddenly realized instead of playing in front of people who were going, oh man, that's so cool. You finish a solo. And you might get 3 people in the audience going.
The beatniks.
So I got to the first gig I did rock and roll, and it was like, yeah!
This is it, man.
Like, holy shit. So, and also, it quadrupled the pay I made with any gig I did as a jazz.
Right.
So I went, okay.
This is it. I'm hooked.
Yep, I'm hooked. And also, I like the fact that I'm playing with people around my age instead of 95-year-old guys out in the audience who, applaud if they can wake up. Yeah. So I was really happy, and that was the beginning of my sort of move. And then, of course, from there, I joined a few big gigs around England, a little band called the Exchequers Trio, and I had my own Johnny Johnson Trio quartet.
Really?
Which used to do,
Wow.
Used to do little gigs around Liverpool, dance gigs and stuff at the very beginning, because nobody knew who the hell I was, or I didn't know anybody else. It's just like, do this and see how far you get.
Exactly.
So my dad had acted as my agent, my booking agent,
Wow.
got people calling him,
How cool
and
is that?
he got some gigs. Yeah, he hadn't done anything like that before, so it was very interesting for him. So, we just kept moving on, and then, of course, when I was 17, I joined the Mojos, right? Sometime after I was watching the Brubeck, I left Liverpool and went down to London.
Did you guys do records?
Yeah, did a couple way back then.
What led up to your entrance into John Mayall with Peter Green?
Well, that was right after the Mojos.
Right,
it was
after.
A case.
Wow.
It was a case of going down this little bar in Soho, London. I sat in with the rock king, and I can't remember his name. The blues guy. He got the name of being the king of the blues. Alexis Corner.
The Alexis Corner Blues Band.
Right.
Wow,
he
that's
was
cool.
looking for a drummer, so he invited me down. So I took the wife with me at that point. We went and watched him play, and then he invited me to sit in, and then I sat in, and I'm sitting there watching this whole thing and watching him playing with him. And after we changed beats a couple of times from left, offbeat to downbeat, I was getting a little worried how this was going to happen on a stage gig, not just to sit in. So anyway, he takes us back to his apartment and then tells us all this stuff about how this is going to be the greatest for me and this, that, and the other. And I went, okay, let me think about it, Alexis. So we went home. Next morning, I get phone rings. It's John Mayall. He goes, I'd like you to come and see my band. And I go, okay, where is it? And he goes, it's at Town Hall in Chelsea. So I went, okay. He says, there'll be a ticket for you there. So I go and tell them, and I get upstairs. I'm sitting on the balcony. As soon as the first notes come out of Peter Green's guitar, I just went, whoa.
Whoa, yeah.
I've got to play with this band. So John calls me next day and goes, well, what do you think? I think I would just absolutely love to play. Man. How much you paying?
How cool. How much you pay, right?
So he told me it was really cheap. I mean, it was nothing.
Nothing.
But the fact that he goes, okay, we're playing Norfolk University tomorrow. Just get your drums to my house. There's in at so-and-so. And then just no rehearsal. So straight on stage, and
you were just playing it by ear.
All I want to know is it shuffle or is it straight?
Right, that's all.
Is it in three with slow blues? Whatever. Yeah. So we got all that together, and then after that, of course, I joined Jeff Beck.
Right,
and that didn't work out. That was with Rod Stewart and Ronnie Wood.
Wow, you were in that version of Jeff Beck.
Yep, right at the beginning.
So you didn't do the record then, right?
No, I didn't. But I sort of helped him arrange the songs. I couldn't work with the guy because he wanted to work like once every month if he wanted to do the gig. So we'd get all picked up in a limousine. We'd go down to his place, which is south of London, and then we'd wait outside. If he didn't show up, we weren't doing the gig.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So I took like 4 or 5 months of that, and I went, I've had enough. That's when I started Retaliation.
Fantastic. And that's a great band. So who wrote The Warning? Is that your tune? Did you write that with the guitar player or the singer? Or?
I think we all wrote it.
You all wrote it. What led to Black Sabbath doing that and really releasing it big time to the world? Well,
I think Ozzy loved me. We used to meet on some gigs, and he would chat to me backstage. And
that must have been interesting.
Oh, it was, yeah. He was always telling me he's lost his voice and all the rest of it,
I love his voice. I love Ozzy's voice.
Yeah, but he would he would just go like this on stage. But I was watching on the side of the stage, so he'd look back at me when singing and go.
We're talking to Aynsley Dunbar here on Mike Onesko's Renegade Rock, legendary rock drummer Aynsley Dunbar. Now we're going to take a little break and we're going to play something from one of his projects called Mutiny. And we'll be right back with Aynsley Dunbar on Renegade Rock. All right, this is Mike Onesko. Welcome back to Renegade Rock here in the Rogue Radio Podcast Network. We're talking with rock legend Aynsley Dunbar. And I'm telling you, these stories are just great, Aynsley. You can just keep going if you want.
Okay, what else can I talk about? Whereabouts in my life did we get to?
How did you end up in the Starship after you left Journey?
Well, I used to do sessions with Pete Sears, the bass player.
Right.
Because he's English. He realized that the Starship was going to be maybe needing a drummer. So he put it forward, just asked me, and then we went from there.
Wow. They went from this hippie psychedelic band to when you joined the band, you came out with Jane. It was like, wow, these guys are a rock band. They got Aynsley Dunbar, they got Marshalls. It's great. I loved it. Really cool.
Yeah, it was cool, actually, because it was the beginning of a new era. Because,
yes, it was.
You know, we did Girl with the Hungry Eyes, Jane, and...
Isn't there Find Your Way Back? Is that another one, too?
No, that's another one, yeah. We actually did a song with a 16-bar drum intro.
Wow.
Freedom 3.0.
We'll have to dig that up.
Might just play the beginning of it or something.
It was
but
cool.
They go, oh, could you do a 16-bar opening for this? So, okay. So I just knocked it around with the sound of what I was coming into and just knocked it out. And everybody took off to go and have, a few minutes smoke and all the rest of it. And I had them back in there in about 10, 15 minutes.
Your drum sound on that record is huge, too. It's really good. Who engineered that record? Roy Nevison?
Yes, I think it was Roy Nevison.
So my favorite story...
Ron Nevison.
Yeah, Ron Nevison. Knowing you, since I've known you for quite a few years now, when I first met you at SIR on Folsom Street, that was in the 70s. I reunited. Remember, I met you. You were doing the Tony Spinner record for Mike Varney up at Prairie Sun.
Yeah.
And I came up, and there you were. And, you were on the fourth Blindside record, and we played around for a while. That was fun, man. Okay, Aynsley, there's two stories that you've told me over the years that I just love, and I would love to have you share them with our Renegade Rock listeners. One of them is the coin toss. Can you explain that?
Well, it wasn't really a coin toss.
Coin toss. What's the story on that?
The story on that is the manager of Jimi Hendrix.
Chas Chandler.
No, that was assistant manager.
I know who you're talking about. His name is Mike something or other, right?
So between the two of them, they decided they wanted to pay us £20 or pay. And I said, that's not good enough. I want 30.
That's Jimmy's manager, right? Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. So obviously it became not a coin toss so much as a...
Who worked for cheaper.
Yeah.
So that's why Mitch Mitchell got the gig.
I believe so.
And then my other great story that you told me was when you showed up for Frank Zappa's thing. What did he tell you?
Oh yeah, we better play. I think I've been there for a month or thing. I think we better play just to see the reason why I brought you over here.
Yeah, he says, show me what I'm paying you all this money for or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had to set up and just do it, right?
Right. And that's where we came up with Chunga's Revenge.
That's crazy. That's nuts. That must have been nuts playing with Frank Zappa.
Well, the nuts part, we did it in his basement, and there wasn't really any place to play, but we set up drums there, and he played guitar, and that's where he just recorded it just to get an idea.
So we're having a great time. We've been talking to Aynsley Dunbar, and by the way, I just want to let you know that Aynsley's going to be playing on a solo record. I'm finally going to do a Mike Onesko solo record, just Mike Onesko, and Aynsley has agreed to play on it, and I'm very excited.
I'm excited to play with you too, Mike. It's been a while.
It's been a long while. 1996 was the last time we did a record. 1996.
Wasn't I 18?
I must have been 5 then, right? So I was 40 in 1993. I was 40 when I signed with Mike Varney. So I was 44, I think, when we did that record. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Well, thank you for joining us today on Renegade Rock. Do you have anything you want to say to our listeners?
Yeah, keep your eye out for my book, which should be out within the next 10 years.
Oh, in the next 10
but
years?
It is coming out sometime.
Fantastic. I can't wait to read that.
And I'll have a few little stories about each band I played with.
Fantastic. You played with everybody, Aynsley. It's incredible. I mean, David Bowie, Whitesnake, Here I Go Again. I mean, there's so many other bands that we probably don't even know about that you're on, right?
Well, you just have to go to AynsleyDunbar.com. Yeah, discography, bio, everything.
Thanks again, Aynsley Dunbar, for coming on Renegade Rock, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, and everybody look after yourselves and stay safe.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Aynsley.
Mike. Bye, Mike.
Take care. Thanks again, Aynsley Dunbar, for coming on Renegade Rock on the Rogue Radio Podcast Network. Hey, we'll see you next week, kids.